Hello, good morning. Thank you everyone for attending. Sorry for the 5 minutes delay. I would like to thank the assistance of the third Deputy Mayor, Mrs. Laia Bonet, of Consul Generals, Director of Chambers of Commerce, partners and friends. Unfortunately, today, the first Deputy Mayor who was expected to be with us, Mr. Jaume Collboni, will not be able to be with us due to unforeseen family matters. So thank you for attending this kickoff and opening session of the Barcelona Expat Week. Today, we start a whole week of activities and meetings. The aim and the purpose of this Expat Week is very clear. We want to connect the talent ecosystem, we want to boost networking and relations, and we want to bring together the international Barcelona community. During the next 5 days, more than 40 activities will be available. The program has 3 main focus areas. First is one related to landing in Barcelona, with the basic things that you need in your first arrival to the city. Information about housing, procedures, living, etc. The second theme is working and doing business in the city, where you will find Barcelona's business offers and where you can be also able to find the support and services that the city offers to employees, to self-employed people, to entrepreneurs, and to SMEs. And finally, there's a third area of interest that's enjoying the city, where we will be sharing some of the hidden secrets of our cultural and tourist offer. The Expat Week is a new event adapted to the COVID situation. It has its origin and preserves the identity of the International Community Day. The International Community Day is the event that the city has been organizing for 7 years in a row, each October in the adreçades, to join and gather the expat community. Unfortunately, this year, this event cannot take place, and this is why we have organized this Expat Week. Wrapping up, 40 activities available this week, 88 speakers from 27 different nationalities, 50% of them women, and 75 partners and collaborators that will be participating in the different roundtables, webinars, etc. Today, everybody agrees that the more scarce good is talent, qualified human resources. If 50 years ago, it was the people who followed the companies, and people moved where the companies decided to locate, today is the other way around. It's the company who are following the people, and the companies move where the talented people has established to establish. This is why attracting and retaining talent is a true competitive advantage for a successful economic development of a city. To talk about this and much more, today we have 2 exceptional speakers that from 2 different perspectives and complementary visions will be talking about these issues and topics. First, we have Caterina, sorry for the pronunciation, Psychopaida. She is from the Mercer Group. Mercer don't need much presentation. As you know, is a worldwide company, leader in the management and transformation of talent. Mercer has more than 70 years of history, has a presence in 140 countries, Spain among them, and with a very important branch in Barcelona, and has more than 40,000 employees. Caterina is the Director of Employment, Engagement, and Experience. She will be talking to us about talent trends and how the 2020 has changed the employee experience forever. After, we will be having the third Deputy Mayor, Mrs. Laia Bonet, who will be talking about how the city is facing, how Barcelona is facing the talent trends and how to become a talent-friendly city. Please, Caterina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mario. Hello, everyone. Good morning, bon dia, buenos dias, kalimera. I'm really excited to be with everyone today. I'm really honored to be kicking off a week packed with inspiring but also practical and inspirational talks and esteemed speakers. I'm forced to join you remotely. As Mario said, this would have been much better if it was face-to-face, but I am actually forced to join you from my living room here in cloudy and cold London, where I've been living for the past 15 years. Actually, I'm originally from Greece, but I've been living in London and working mostly internationally on the area of business psychology advisory, working with international clients to try and help HR and leaders to understand how talent thinks, acts, and feels so that they can create better employee experiences and drive individual but also organizational performance. So today, let me share my screen. I will be using some slides. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. I will be using some slides and I will be talking to you in the next 20 minutes or so about how has 2020, with everything that has happened, how has it impacted the employee experience? How is talent working these days? Where are they choosing to work from? How are they choosing to work? And how is this affecting employers, but also cities like Barcelona? In order to do that, I will share with you some context first, but then I will go into sharing some results of interesting research that Mercer has been doing out in the field for many years and continuing even more intensely this year due to the pandemic. So without further ado, let's start. I said I would start by the context, and really the context is quite clear. If you've been feeling overwhelmed lately, you are not alone. A simple Google search will show you that COVID has really added a huge source of anxiety for everyone. Starting to search the pandemic, and you're seeing that a lot of people are searching topics around mental health, around divorce and relationships, around unemployment and the economy. Really, COVID has presented a huge challenge in the lives and work of everyone around the world. At the same time, like with every crisis, there is a huge opportunity. So the disruption has created an opportunity to really change the way that we live and work. At the moment, we're riding the third wave of a digital revolution. In the late 2000s, we started by digitalizing products. A lot of organizations were going digital with their products. Then we started digitalizing and streamlining processes using digital technology to make sure that everything is more efficient. That kind of digital revolution trickled into business models. So whole companies and business models moved to digital. What was happening just before COVID hit was that, that digital revolution was starting to impact the way that we live and work. And what happened with the crisis is that we massively accelerated that digital revolution and that digital transformation. However, going into this new digital transformation with the old ways of working, with our old methods of working, would really be missing out on a huge opportunity. We really need to leverage new approaches, new methods, and new tools in order to increase productivity and increase employee and people satisfaction around the world. We really need to take on board this opportunity to change the way that we live and the way that we work. Unfortunately or fortunately, this has started changing already. So how has the working experience, the employee experience changed during the last few months? What you see on the screen is where everyone's mind goes to immediately. Well, COVID made sure that everyone was able to work from home. We're thinking about office workers, 9-to-5 office workers that all of a sudden were forced to work more flexibly from home. That's not the only change, and that's not the change that most of my clients were worried about. my clients were asking me, well, is this huge disruption going to impact employee engagement? Is the talent going to be disrupted? And really, are we going to lose out on productivity and engagement? And actually, looking at our data, employee engagement hasn't been in decline. Actually, a lot of the components that make talent being engaged, that make people engaged, are actually increasing, have been increasing during COVID. So comparing to pre-COVID and during COVID, people feel a greater sense of care. They feel that employers, cities, governments are taking better care of them. They're paying attention to their needs and they're trying to support them in this difficult time. So perceptions of care have improved. Perceptions of belonging have also improved. Weirdly, because of course people are more isolated now, but because everyone is facing the same threat, there is a greater sense of belonging and everyone is feeling like we're all in it together. And then finally, we see great improvement and increase in the level of trust. And that's trust towards the employer, trust towards governments and public bodies. There is a lot of trust on employees to be remotely and doing their work without having direct supervision. So this, again, this disruption, this crisis, has brought about some positive side effects. And definitely we're seeing that engagement isn't dropping. But that's not the whole picture. That doesn't mean that the work experience hasn't been disrupted and that the way that people feel hasn't really been impacted. We did further research, and I'm showing you a few examples here, but when we did the research, we analyzed the data, not just at the highest level, like everyone grouped together, but we wanted to go deeper into what is the experience for different parts, different segments of the population. This is an example of doing a segment analysis between men and women. We saw that although engagement didn't decline, when we asked employees around the world, what were they worried about during COVID? We found some gender differences. We found indeed that women were much more impacted and much more worried about their mental health than men. We found that women were more affected in terms of the workload that was increased during COVID and the work-life balance that they had to juggle work with children, with homeschooling, with managing the household. And they were more worried about workload and work-life balance than men. Also, they were more worried about the societal impact of the pandemic more generally. So it doesn't really mean that if we don't see a change on the overall level, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. What COVID has shown us is that we really need to dig deeper into what is the unique experiences that each of the segments of the population are having. And we need to do that in an inclusive and diverse way. We need to allow for everyone's voices to be heard and to be understood and to be taken care of. So that's the experience as we see it from the data so far, how the pandemic so far has impacted employees. What about the future? We also ask in our surveys and in our research, what do people feel about the future? And actually this change is going to continue. We ask people, how do you feel overall? Mixed, optimistic, pessimistic, no change. And actually, most people are feeling mixed feelings about the future, followed by some optimism, which is great, but almost no one is saying that nothing will change. People are expecting things to change, and they're feeling so-so about it, mixed. What is it that everyone's predicting will change, especially around the way we live and work? Flexibility is the biggest prediction. People are saying that there will be more flexible working and there will be more trust between employee and employer to work in a different situation from different areas at different times, and an increased flexibility taking into account everyone's context. Employees are predicting that they will be feeling less stressed in the future because flexible working will become a real thing, and because employers will have more empathy and will pay more attention to well-being of the employees and the diversity and feelings of inclusion. Trust will give more autonomy to employees and the ability to work from wherever they want and whenever they want. Greater work-life balance brought about by flexibility. Culture shifts so that there is more empowerment in the team. The team dynamics are going to play a big role in the future. We saw even during COVID that the team was the major support unit for people during COVID. And then finally, digital. Digital is going to enable everything and is going to be the accelerator for really taking into account everything that's happened and turning it into a positive change for the future. So mixed feelings about the future, but really hopeful that this revolution, this change is going to be used for the better. What is very important, however, by all of this is that we start thinking about the employee and about people in a more holistic way. What this pandemic has shown us, and from our research before the pandemic, we're really seeing that we can't think about employees anymore as a 9-to-5, going to the office or to the shop floor experience. We need to start thinking more holistically. And by defining employee experience more holistically, we see that cities and governments are playing a much bigger role in the employee experience. So what is the definition that we're giving? The definition is three parts, is really where the new holistic employee experience lies. The first part is the employee themselves. We really need to understand nowadays employees, citizens, people in a very deep and meaningful way. What are their expectations? What are their unique experiences? And not just categorize them as, millennials, Generation Zs. No, it's actually a more holistic definition of who employees and who citizens are and what are they bringing with them, what values, what experiences, and what expectations. The second one is the environment. What are the touch points between the employee and the environment that they're living? And that's not anymore just the office and the shop. That could be the home. That could be the culture and the touch points with the people and their leaders and their peers. That could be the programs and the processes and the technology that they are interacting with day to day that shapes their experience. And finally, the importance of events. And that's not just the scripted events, onboarding, being promoted, the events that we have been traditionally tracking, but this is also now unscripted events. Life events like you're pregnant and you want to come back to the workplace and be reintegrated, or you're working and you want to take some time off to help an elderly relative that needs support. So what are the life events and the broader organizational and that national events that are shaping the experience? If we start thinking about the employee experience in a more holistic way, then we are much more likely to attract and retain and engage the right talent that we need within cities and within organizations. So what does this mean for cities and for cities like Barcelona? It's really interesting, as Mario said in the beginning, that right now it's not the employee that goes where the job is. It's really the employer and the job that goes where the employees are. And there is a greater sense of, talent flexibility, talent mobility. It's really important to understand what that means for cities and for cities like Barcelona. I will start with an ideal city definition, but then I will dive into data specifically about Barcelona. I found this definition from the Council of Europe very interesting because it really highlights the volatility and the changeability and the adaptability that a city needs. So an ideal city is one which succeeds in reconciling the various sectors and activities that take place, which safeguards civic rights, ensures the best possible living conditions, reflects and is responsive to the lifestyles and attitudes of its inhabitants. That's the most important part of the definition for me, responsive to the lifestyles and attitudes of the inhabitants, where full account is taken of all those who use it, work or trade, visit it, seek entertainment, culture, information, knowledge, studying. So it's a much more holistic definition that we're looking for right now. And really, what does this mean for Barcelona? Is this a city that really is doing all of that? I will not share with you my personal opinion because I would rate it as number one. I'm really a huge Barcelona fan. But I will share with you real data. And Mercer, again, does every year, the Mercer Quality and Cost of Living Study around the world, around 400 cities across a lot of categories, is ranking how cities are being perceived in terms of quality of living, but also cost of living. So where does Barcelona rank in that? Let's take a first look at the quality of living, and then we'll take a look at the cost of living. So a lot of data on the table. I'm just going to visualize it a bit more for you. We have a lot of categories on the left, and we have a few cities. I didn't take 400 of them. It would be impossible here, but I chose very strategically a few of Barcelona's biggest competitors around here, around Europe. So we're comparing Barcelona now to London, Paris, Berlin, Amsterdam, Lisbon, and Madrid for quality of living. And as you can see, the stars are where Barcelona is better, and the yellow bars are where it's similar quality of living. So Barcelona is offering a very similar quality of living when it comes to the economic environment, when it comes to schools and education, when it comes to availability of consumer goods, and actually when it comes to housing, actually better than Paris. And when it comes to natural environment, it's offering a better quality of living than most of these cities. So overall, the quality of living that Barcelona offers is similar or better than these big European competitors. But actually, it is doing that in a much more competitive cost. So the cost of living around a few of the categories that you see on the left in Barcelona is better, so is cheaper than almost all of these other cities. So the food at home, alcohol and tobacco, domestic supplies, personal care, clothing and footwear, home services, all of these very important categories, Barcelona is offering a better cost of living. So it's really evident from the data that Barcelona is striking the right balance. Similar or better quality of living with all of these big European cities, but offering it at a lower price, at a lower cost. That's very important for now, going during a crisis. It's really important to be able to offer a lower cost of living, as a lot of people, we see their major concern is money, their major concern is economics and their job security. So being able to offer, for example, the accommodation cost in Barcelona is the lowest out of all the other cities in a comparable two-bedroom apartment within a good area. It's very important to do that because we see that right now people are really working a lot from home more. So they're seeking bigger spaces that they can be afforded more easily. So Barcelona is offering that. And very important also for millennials and people of the younger generation that are looking to be, flexible everywhere and to work from everywhere. Barcelona is offering great Wi-Fi because, as this slide is saying, home is where the Wi-Fi connects automatically. And, within Barcelona, there's fiber optic everywhere and internet is fast. So what else could you be asking for, right? So the data is telling us that Barcelona has a very balanced package to offer. But what I'm saying to you today is that really what really matters in order to keep sustainably attracting talent is to really be able to change, is to really be able to adapt to what talent needs. And it's not really the what, which we just shared with you now. All of these categories Barcelona is doing well in and balanced in terms of quality and cost, but how? It's not just the what, it's also the how. How are we offering what we're offering to people? And right now, we're seeing that people have very much changing individual preferences. Of course, medical and health provisions are important, but not just the basics. We need diverse medical needs to be met. It's important to have a good political and social environment, but it really has to be one that is tolerant to diverse, non-conventional families, diverse populations. It's important to have very nice natural environment, but what about inclusive spaces? you really need to create spaces that different kind of people with disabilities, people that have different preferences can gather around. So really trying to understand the changes in individual preferences and try to create more inclusive environments. The second one is trying to be more flexible. And of course, it's important to offer, the cheapest housing and really good spacious housing, but what about flexible options? A lot of people nowadays call themselves digital nomads. They want to move from one city to another. Is that possible? Do you have, flexible contracts? Are you able to support flexible working policies, flexible immigration policies, so that people can come and go? They know how their taxes are going to be impacted. They can have, these more non-linear careers that people are looking for right now. And finally, what about sustainability? Really, people are looking for a city, an employer, a government that is thinking about the future and that is creating sustainable economy, sustainable community, sustainable environment. So, to conclude, what am I sharing with you today? I'm saying that really what really employees and cities need to do is to start reinventing now for the future, learning, taking stock of what the pandemic has taught everyone, and trying to reinvent in three very important ways. Reinvent for value. What people value and how value is created is really shifting. This requires cities to rethink what the value proposition is and to evolve to including more diverse models of creating value for citizens. The second one is reinvent for flexibility, making sure that there is adjustment, continuous adjustment in the capacity and accelerating digital transformation and creating flexible provisions for citizens and for employees. And finally, reinventing sustainably, really reinventing sustainably in how cities, companies, and investors behave in a sharp focus as they set priorities and take collective responsibility for the future. And to do that, including multiple stakeholders. It's not just about optimizing cost, it's not just about optimizing quality, but it's about creating value for different stakeholders. So I'm going to leave you with a quote, hopefully inspirational, from Charles Darwin, so a very, very old quote, that really it is not the strongest that survive, nor the most intelligent. It is the ones that are most responsive to change. So what I'm really calling for, and I'll hand back over to Mario soon, is for flexibility, is for really understanding how things are changing, how talent is changing, how people and cities are changing, and being able to respond to that. I hope you found this very useful. If you need to ask anything, please reach out to Mario and the guys organizing this, and or connect with me on LinkedIn. I will be happy to continue the conversation. I'll hand back over to Mario now.
Thank you very much, Katerina. Thank you for your insights. Very enlightening presentation. I think that the message is clear. Barcelona is in a good position in this battle of challenge, but at the same time, we'll have a lot of homework to do. And to talk about the plans of the city regarding talent and our roadmap for talent, now I would like to give the floor to the third Deputy Mayor, Mrs. Laia Bonet, who will be talking us about the plans of Barcelona. Laia Bonet, Deputy Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mario. Good morning. Bon día, buenos días. Y gracias a todos los que estáis aquí virtualmente también. Gracias a todos los consulados. Dejadme empezar por aquí, a las cámaras de comercio, a las instituciones, a las empresas, a las entidades y a todo el ecosistema internacional de la ciudad. En definitiva, a los Barcelonians by choice. And I would also like to thank Katerina Psychopaida from Mercer for her interesting presentation. I agree with her on the idea that the pandemic has forced us to reinvent the way we live, including reimagining the employee experience, as Katerina has just shared with us. In this context, cities need to face all these challenges and take advantage of the opportunities that arise. And that's what we are doing in Barcelona. Pero antes de empezar, dejadme felicitar también, y es de justicia, al equipo de Mario Robert, del área de promoción de ciudad. Su rápida capacidad de reacción y adaptación del acto a las circunstancias actuales es indescriptible y por eso yo creo que hay que empezar a cambiar también en la forma de organizarnos y de repensar cómo nos explicamos, cómo compartimos los mensajes y cómo conseguimos generar espacios de reflexión y de comunicación en las circunstancias que vivimos. En la Barcelona Expat Week contaremos, como decía Mario al principio, con la colaboración de casi 90 ponentes, y quiero subrayar también el matiz que él hacía, también muchas mujeres ahí y más de 70 empresas y entidades y profesionales a título individual. Todos ellos quieren contribuir a que Barcelona sea una ciudad abierta, una ciudad dinámica y global. Y por lo tanto, quiero dar las gracias a todos ellos de antemano por su implicación en la organización de esta semana. Esta primera edición de la Expat Week, que hoy inauguramos, contribuirá a consolidar sin duda Barcelona como un espacio de proyección internacional, innovación y promoción económica. Porque efectivamente estamos en un momento especialmente complejo a nivel mundial, dominado por una gran incertidumbre, rebrotes de la pandemia en toda Europa, parones de la actividad económica, duras consecuencias para todos los sectores, también para el sector de la restauración, del comercio, en todas las grandes ciudades. Y si queremos recuperarnos, tenemos que reinventarnos, no nos queda otra. Y es una oportunidad para hacerlos. Tenemos que afrontar estos retos nuevos a través de la colaboración, de la cooperación, de la corresponsabilidad entre las administraciones públicas, pero también con el mundo empresarial y con todos los agentes socioeconómicos. Y además de combatir la pandemia, debemos hacer este esfuerzo de acompañar a los sectores más afectados e incentivar el tejido económico. También estamos avanzando hacia un modelo económico más resiliente e innovador. Eso es lo que hay detrás de las urgencias, del combate contra la emergencia sanitaria y también del acompañamiento de la crisis social y económica que ha dejado y que está dejando la pandemia. Hay que aprovechar para repensar, para reimaginar este modelo económico de una forma más resiliente e innovadora. Estamos implementando nuestra agenda económica en el Ayuntamiento de Barcelona, una agenda que denominamos el Barcelona Green Deal, que pivota sobre 3 parámetros: la competitividad, la sostenibilidad y la equidad. También no nos queremos olvidar en este momento de algo tan importante como la equidad en cualquier sociedad y también en nuestra ciudad. No podemos regresar a la normalidad que teníamos antes. Producía desigualdades, era evidente, tenía demasiado impacto sobre el medio ambiente, precarizaba el mercado laboral y acentuaba toda clase de vulnerabilidades. Por lo tanto, hay que actuar de forma contundente, pero para llegar a un sitio distinto al sitio del que venimos. Es el momento de abrir un espacio de oportunidades, no solo para reactivar la economía, como decía, sino para repensar cómo hacer de esta terrible situación una oportunidad para avanzar hacia una sociedad más sostenible, más equitativa, más saludable y más justa. Esta transformación hacia una nueva economía pasa sin duda por una nueva relación con nuestro entorno, por la generación de empleo de calidad y por poner a las personas en el centro de la actividad económica. Y desde Barcelona queremos contribuir a impulsar esta transformación y ponerla al servicio de toda la ciudadanía. Por ello, seguimos y seguiremos apostando por el talento como una palanca clave para la recuperación. Yo creo que probablemente la capacidad de atraer talento es una de las principales fuerzas de nuestra ciudad, de Barcelona, la capacidad para atraer, para retener el talento, pero tenemos que trabajar más y mejor en ese sentido. Como decía, efectivamente una de las fortalezas para la transformación de nuestro modelo económico como ciudad radica en esta apuesta, en una apuesta por el talento. Nuestra capacidad de formar, de atraer, de retener y acoger el talento y también de compartirlo. Y solo así contribuiremos a sentar las bases para una economía más robusta, más resiliente, más moderna y también más competitiva. Nos jugamos evidentemente el presente, pero también nos jugamos el futuro inmediato, a corto y a largo plazo. El talento internacional aporta competitividad, creatividad y capacidad de innovación, porque trae nuevas ideas, nuevas técnicas, nuevos métodos, nuevas perspectivas. Aporta diversidad aporta complejidad, aporta riqueza al mundo empresarial, al ecosistema emprendedor, en definitiva, y también de las startups, al mundo académico y científico, en definitiva, a toda la economía local y a la sociedad en su conjunto. Y precisamente en esta línea, la Expat Week, yo creo que supondrá una inyección de nuevas ideas en un momento muy necesario y muy importante para Barcelona. Unas ideas que saldrán de todos estos debates que se organizarán durante toda esta semana. Barcelona quiere seguir siendo un polo de atracción de talento internacional, algo que es imprescindible para el modelo de ciudad que queremos. Es por ello que defendemos que Barcelona debe seguir siendo una ciudad abierta. Queremos que Barcelona sea acogedora, que sea fácil mudarse, que sea fácil establecerse en ella y que los que lleguen a nuestra ciudad puedan crear vínculos, relaciones, proyectos que los enraícen y que se sientan barceloneses y barcelonesas. Quiero resaltar, y aprovecho esta ocasión para hacerlo con todos ustedes, algunos proyectos que estamos impulsando desde el Ayuntamiento de Barcelona en ese sentido. Lanzamos un plan de retorno para el talento joven autóctono que se fue al extranjero debido a la anterior crisis económica y que busca oportunidades para volver a Barcelona. Es una acción para revertir la fuga de cerebros. Es una atracción del talento que supimos crear en su momento, pero que desgraciadamente se fue a buscar suerte en otras ciudades. Queremos recuperarlos. En otro sentido, el año que viene pondremos en marcha también una oficina de atención al talento internacional, la Barcelona International Welcome Desk. Esta oficina tiene que mejorar la acogida o pretende mejorar la acogida y ofrecer el apoyo necesario personalizado a los profesionales internacionales que se instalan en la ciudad. Y también otra iniciativa que denominamos Visatech, que estamos creando con la idea de ofrecer nuevos mecanismos de colaboración con la Administración del Estado y de la Generalitat que permitan reducir las barreras burocráticas relacionadas con la llegada del talento internacional, algo que seguro que preocupa a muchos de los que querrían instalarse a Barcelona y que necesitan ver con mayor facilidad ese aterrizaje a nuestra ciudad. Facilitar la obtención del NIE, de los visados y de los permisos de trabajo u otros trámites clave es lo que pretendemos hacer con esta iniciativa. Y también potenciaremos las actividades de acogida, dinamización y fidelización de la comunidad internacional con un programa 360 durante todo el año para dar respuesta a todo lo que necesita el talento que acaba de llegar y el que ya lleva años aquí y que continúa teniendo motivos y queriendo quedarse aquí. El año pasado tuvimos 5.800 participantes en estas actividades de acogida y queremos seguir creciendo para ser más útiles en todo lo que preocupa a la comunidad internacional en nuestra ciudad. Y además montaremos un encuentro anual para el talento internacional de la ciudad. Hasta ahora habíamos realizado una feria. Este año hemos reinventado el proyecto, como saben, y hemos dado un paso adelante más ambicioso con esta Barcelona Expat Week, que hoy empieza, con una plataforma tecnológica innovadora que permitirá crear una comunidad virtual que pueda ayudar mucho a esta reflexión conjunta que planteábamos al inicio de esta sesión. Permíteme que acabe diciendo que Barcelona es rica en talento, ya lo es hoy, tanto local como internacional, de ciudadanos y de ciudadanas de nacimiento y de adopción, personas que nacieron tanto aquí como en otros países, pero queremos seguir siéndolo y siéndolo incluso más intensamente. Es por ello que quiero finalizar dando las gracias a las más de 1.500 personas de más de 100 nacionalidades que se han registrado a esta Expat Week que hoy inauguramos y que forman parte de esta red internacional de la ciudad de Barcelona. Les invito a todos y a todas a disfrutar, a participar de la Barcelona Expat Week, a conectarse, a hacer contactos, a multiplicar los esfuerzos y los resultados porque esta ciudad no se detiene y no quiere detenerse. Muchas gracias a todos y a todas por vuestra confianza en Barcelona. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laia Bonet, Deputy Mayor. Allowed me to update the figures. We don't have only 1,500 people registered. We have 2,000. So this is a good news. And I think it shows the opportunity of the initiative. To conclude, thank you very much, Caterina, for this general macro vision about the talent trends. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bonet, for landing the different talent initiatives that the Barcelona will be undertaking in the next years. Thank you for all those almost 200 attendees that we have had during this opening session. Although the difficult situation we have at this moment, I'm sure that we will have a great expat week. So I invite you to enjoy the week and to take advantage of it, and to see you in different initiatives that the City Council will undertaking. Thank you very much, everybody, and let's have a nice and successful expat week. Thank you.